Isekai, a genre that is synonymous with trash. There's a reason it has such a bad rep, as most of the time it feels like you're watching the same thing over and over again, so everyone just overlooks it without a second thought. The moment you see the word Isekai in the title, your brain just gives it a hard pass. And you have every right to do so. Isekai has reached a very interesting state where it's become an entirely different entity from anime. When you judge an Isekai, you think to yourself, is this good as an Isekai? Not, is this good as an anime? Which says a lot. You don't talk about an Isekai the same way you talk about any other anime. When it's good, you say, this is pretty good for an Isekai, and when it's bad, you say, it's expected, it's an Isekai after all. This kind of mentality has burrowed its way into fans and even the authors themselves. From my experience and personal opinion, there are three categories Isekai fall into. The first being the type that takes itself too seriously and wants you to know it's an Isekai with all its JRPG systems and whatnot. Then there's the type that doesn't even acknowledge the fact that it's an Isekai and focuses on actually telling a story. And then there's the type that don't take themselves too seriously and mostly just parodies the genre. Some shows might fall into more than one category though. And I'm not saying that one category is worse than the other, each having their own strengths and weaknesses, but I will say that one category does tend to have a lot more trash than others. With the rise in popularity of Isekai, we're seeing authors constantly trying to break the status quo, really shake up their storytelling. Though that's a rare case. And just as we have those trying to reinvent the tropes, we've got those still parodying the trope and surprisingly doing something good with it. In comes the new gag Isekai. Question mark? That has done something a lot of us have never thought it'd be possible or never even crossed our minds. The main character returned to the real world. Uncle from Another World, or Isekai Ojisan, is an interesting little show. It has our main character completing his Isekai journey and returning to our world. It's unheard of because most of the time when we see an Isekai MC, they just love the new world they're in. I mean, in most cases. And they never really make plans to return to their world. That, and the fact that all the years of watching Isekai, we've never seen an Isekai really end. Holy shit. We've never seen an Isekai end. Let that sink in. So our uncle from another world has done the impossible. And not only has he made it back to the real world after 17 years, but he's also come back with his memories, gear, and best of all, his magic abilities. With the only family he's got willing to look after him being his nephew, they spend their days together just vibing, getting into wacky scenarios and being all around cool dudes. It takes a slice of life approach, and honestly, this was the best approach to take it. The anime just wants to help you have a good time and laugh a little. It really pokes fun at the Isekai tropes. In the first episode alone, we find out that our uncle, why do I keep saying our uncle? We find out that our uncle, who claimed that he was bullied and terrorized by a girl who was stalking him, was actually a textbook tsundere all this time. And it gets funnier because he went into a coma around the year 2000 just before tsunderes became a popular trope, so he doesn't really know she's being a tsundere. So you'd think it's probably going to be hard for this old man to reintegrate into society, huh? Actually, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. He becomes a YouTuber, showing off his isekai abilities to the internet which thinks it's all special effects. So he doesn't really have to worry about money for virtually the rest of his life. Aside from the daily fish out of water scenarios our two main characters get into, we also get to see what it was like for our uncle during his time being isekai'd via replaying his memories, so they can watch it like it's some kind of TV show, to which most of the isekai parodies and meta jokes come in. Since our uncle is so dense to the tropes of isekai, he tends to do the unexpected and will genuinely shock you with laughter. For example, the elf tsundere pulls off classic tsundere techniques and he just takes her words literally and can't tell she actually likes him. He is one dense motherfucker. In fact, the way he talks about a lot of his isekai adventures are so nonchalant. He doesn't make them to be a big deal and rarely ever uses his powers for nefarious deeds. The only thing he holds in high regard are Sega consoles and Sonic. And man, is he about to get disappointed by the Sonic game that released that year. Since it's a slice of life, there really isn't a lot of serious tension around. Any conflict that gets introduced is resolved in that episode in whatever hilarious way they can make it. Like in one episode, thanks to the new YouTube guidelines being introduced, changing the rules for monetization to what it currently is now, he hasn't quite made the mark and needs to hit that 1k subs by the end of the day. So he just straight up begs his viewers to subscribe. And they do. Is that actually the secret to this thing? Begging? Does that actually work? If that's the case, ahem. Oh, please, 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 dear viewer, might I ask you so kindly hit that subscribe button? If you do so, you'll be graced with a toast tomorrow. And if you don't like bread, well, sucks for you, I guess. But yeah, Uncle from Another World is a must watch this season, and I highly recommend you watch this as it airs, cause once October hits, you will not have time to check this out. Trust me. Once again, this has been your very favorite slice of bread, signing off.